Hello everyone, I'm Max and today I'm here to maximize your fear. So far, 2024 has been a year filled with many strange things caught on trail cams. From weird unidentified creatures to killers and to many other unexplainable phenomena. So today I decided to highlight some of the most chilling and downright horrifying creatures caught on trail cameras this year. So grab your maximum fear coffee mugs and allow your fear to be maximized as we recap the scariest trail camera clips of 2024. Mega Compilation. Recently, rumors were spreading throughout the region that a certain plot of land was home to something otherworldly. The vacant land was overgrown and unkempt, and it was located basically in the middle of nowhere. One particular explorer named Tom caught wind of these rumors. Rumors of some sort of horrifying humanoid creature hiding out on the land. He didn't believe it and wanted to see for himself, so very late one night he went there. He set out with a camera and a flashlight.
It's like a little bit of illegal dumping. It's like sand.
First he finds some trash, but then he continues on. Only a few minutes later, he would find out the scary rumors were indeed real. His flashlight reveals a pale alien humanoid hybrid lurking within the brush. At first it's hiding, but as soon as the flashlight hits it, it crawls forward quickly towards Tom. As if the alien-looking face isn't horrifying enough, the way it moves is deeply disturbing. It crawls very widely and crouched, a very otherworldly movement. We can also see the creature looks rather skinny. This still shot here gives us a great look at it. What could this thing be? Is it an alien from another planet hiding within this remote area? Some theorize it could even be the Rake, a supposed elongated, pale, cryptid creature that hides and likes to attack humans. Whatever it was though, it's clear it wasn't human. And Tom's genuine story and reaction are convincing people to believe entirely. The following two captures come from a Reddit user named C. Grazia. He has a trail camera to capture game and wildlife because he's a hunter. Usually just a few deer or other popular wildlife show up on his strategically placed camera. But this night he would capture something different entirely. Something that would shake him to his core. The first capture may not seem too out of the ordinary, as it seems to just show a person with motion blur. Motion blur means the subject is moving, which means he's walking through the shot. However, what just looks like an ordinary hiker might not be after all. As his camera in particular, when set off, takes a burst of a few pictures within a short time frame, a few seconds to be more specific. And for some odd reason, this was the only picture that the mysterious man figure shows up in. But this isn't the scariest part. One of the captures within this burst captured this. It's a very close-up shot of an overexposed face. It looks very supernatural as it's strangely bright. And the camera does not have a flash, so there would be no reason for the bright appearance. Could this be some kind of unidentified, brightly glowing entity? Perhaps a ghost, or maybe even something else? Perhaps the land is home to skinwalkers, and the man shown in the first photo was not a man at all, but a shape-shifting spirit. And he changed forms and showed up in that second photo in only seconds. So let me know what you guys think is happening in the comments. This encounter was released on June 29th, 2024, coming from the northern US. The caption reads, "Red Bigfoot caught on camera by hunter. Here's the footage."
Oh, come on, Ward. It's right there. If I have my glasses on, look at that. That's what's making the noise. Holy. I'm pretty sure that was the thing that was making the noise.
As stated, the hunter was out hunting when he came across a massive hairy creature. Initially, many thought it was an orangutan, but the hunter assures us that it's not. He believes it was a Bigfoot. Also, monkeys do not reside anywhere in the northern US, and practically nowhere in the US at all for that matter. So how could this be a monkey then? But anyways, he eventually musters up the courage to hit a rock really hard on a tree beside him to see what the hairy beast does. And that's when it spots him and moves away, not wanting to be seen.
I don't know if I should do this or not. It's not even a... Oh, where is it? Where's it? Oh, holy... Freak.
As it moves away though, we get a good shot of its upper portion. Its shoulders are broad and its head is a dome shape covered in fur. And it moves almost human-like, common characteristics of a Sasquatch. We can tell the hunter recording is pretty shaken up and doesn't know how to rationalize what he's seeing. I mean, imagine you're just minding your own business, hunting, and all of a sudden you come across this. I'd probably have the same exact reaction. This quick clip was released with not much context, but what we do know is a man was out in the woods alone. He eventually was made known of something crawling and hiding within the brush, but when he neared closer, he realized what he was seeing and he was deeply disturbed. A pale humanoid creature is crouching and maneuvering around in the brush. Looking close, it's extremely pale, almost white in color. And it's very skinny with a large head. Judging off of these characteristics alone, it couldn't possibly be a human. Many online users began saying that the man had an encounter with a creature called the Rake that I talked about earlier. This here is what the Rake looks like. It's said to be extremely dangerous, attacking and scratching humans, hence the name the Rake, and it's often described as unnaturally emaciated and pale. And surprisingly, many people have actually had documented encounters with this supposed creature, making many believe. Definitely some very scary footage, and I'm sure the man who recorded the video won't be stepping in those woods ever again. Deep within the woods of Hudson Valley, New York, come two inexplicable photos. Photos that seem to capture a juvenile Bigfoot. Here's the first photo. Initially taken in 2022, but just now making waves on social media, the photos are puzzling even scientists. The dark, hairy creature seems smaller than a typical Bigfoot, but does share the same characteristics, leading many to believe it's a baby or a small juvenile. So that was the first photo. Here is the second one. This one is much more zoomed in, showing us all the details. We can see it has dark, wiry hair along with a strong bone structure in the facial area. The photo is also pretty clear in HD. And the creature just looks extremely realistic, making many believe this one is the real deal. And considering it comes from New York, it can't be a monkey or anything. And also, judging by the realistic look, it can't be a person in a costume, leaving us with not many other worldly theories. This practically brand new footage, captured on July 2nd, 2024, captures what looks to be a shapeshifter. It was taken in Heroica, Veracruz, Mexico. The security camera that filmed it was placed behind the building to keep out intruders, but this was certainly no ordinary intruder. Take a look. At first, we see what looks like a person limping towards the camera. Something seems off about the walk. But as they near the gate, suddenly the top half of the being seems to disappear into thin air. Something straight out of a horror movie, but this was real life. Skeptics immediately began claiming this was a glitch in the camera's rendering. However, experts applied several light filters and even infrared filters, and they all show the exact same thing. Online viewers are certain this is real footage of a shapeshifter, but what do you guys think? Could this really just somehow be a camera glitch, or is it all too real? Let me know in the comments down below. This compelling Bigfoot trail camera video comes from West Central Alberta, Canada. It was highlighted on January 17th, 2024. The trail camera that's capable of taking short videos was set up in this particular forest to film and collect data on wolverines in the area, and they never expected to capture something like this. The trail camera initially seems to be triggered by the buck behind the tree. It peeks its head around and then goes back behind. But something was hiding within the tree on the other side. At first, the creature remains completely still, but then after the buck walks away, it moves away from its place of hiding. We can see it's insanely tall and just overall huge. It's dark and seems to be covered in fur. Estimating the creature's height, the average buck is around 3 foot tall at the head. And this one seems to be exceptionally large. It could even be around 3.5 feet. But we'll just say 3 feet for the sake of this video. So right here is 3 feet, and then over here is where the supposed Sasquatch's head was. You also have to take into consideration the ground slopes down considerably where the Sasquatch was. So the deer was on elevated ground and the Sasquatch was on de-elevated ground. That being said, the creature seems to be around double the height of the deer. And that's even with the slope, and it still seems to be crouching down. It doesn't even seem to be standing as tall as it possibly can be. So I'd say a fair estimate would be from 7 to 8 feet tall. Definitely some pretty compelling footage. This one is puzzling a lot of people. On May 12th, 2024, a woman named Mandy who lives in the Appalachian Mountains would capture some bone-chilling footage. As you may know, the Appalachian Mountains are said to be home to unidentified creatures, skinwalkers, and even ghostly entities. And Mandy's security footage recorded on her dense and vastly forested property may prove these rumors to be true. In the dead of night, a disheveled-looking woman approaches her doorstep creepily. The way she moves around is unsettling. Throughout the strange footage, disembodied voices say, "Let me in your house." But the voices don't appear to be coming from her. But as she gets right up to the house, the motion sensor light is set off, startling whoever or whatever this is. Stunned by the light, she retreats back into the surrounding darkness. Mandy is shaken up by the footage and says she deals with strange encounters like this every once in a while on her property. And she's still not used to it, and she doesn't know what it is. Commenters speculated the creepy woman was a skinwalker, or at least some sort of ghostly entity that lives in the haunted woods of the Appalachian Mountains. If you don't know already, according to ancient Navajo culture, skinwalkers are evil spirits that can shapeshift and manifest themselves as humans or animals. So was the strange woman a skinwalker, or was she something else entirely? Now I have to give a warning before I show this footage because it's pretty disturbing and graphic. It's of a supposed Bigfoot or Yowie kill site, where it supposedly had killed a pig and ripped it completely in half. Along with the mutilated pig corpses appear to be giant footprints, the footprints of a massive apex predator.
You got a cigarette box?
No, just put my boot next to it. Flat brick clean in half, and then this next to it.
Got a good shot of?
And it's going up the hill.
Hey, what about just...
The video comes from Queensland, Australia. A group of workers arrived to their job site to see this horrifying sight. You can see there are many massive footprints with toe marks and everything, proving these weren't human footprints. One of the workers even compares his foot to it in his work boots, and the sheer size is disturbing. In this shot here, you can see how massive its strides are as well. But since this encounter comes from Australia, they believe this was a creature called the Yowie, similar to the Bigfoot here in North America. Yowies are described as bipedal, very hairy, ape-like creatures that stand up to 12 feet tall. According to Australian legend, the first sighting of one of these beings dates back to 1795. So, like Bigfoot, encounters have been happening for a very long time. But anyways, definitely a very disturbing thing to come across. Luckily, the workers filmed it because nobody would have ever believed them. The following footage comes from Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico. In June of 2024, a woman stepped outside for a break from work, and as she was sitting there, she looked over to a nearby building and saw a small, dark, humanoid creature. It just stands there moving slightly until eventually the footage cuts off. The appearance of the being is strange. It's very small, estimated at only 2 feet. It's also extremely dark, giving it an evil-looking presence. And the video reveals no facial features on the creature, so what could it be? Online viewers are calling this a duende. The infamous duende comes from Latin America legend. They're comparable to leprechauns, gnomes, and dwarves. They're said to be small, eerie-looking figures, and they're also said to be evil. So if this woman did indeed encounter a duende, she was lucky it was peaceful and didn't try to attack her. This shocking unknown creature encounter occurred right at the start of 2024. A group of guys were outside late one night on the remote property. There's a dense tree line that lines the back edge of the backyard that leads into a deep and vast forest. And on this night, the guys began to hear strange noises coming from within the woods. So they stepped outside armed. Eventually, a bipedal creature with what looks like long light hair walks along the edge of the woods.
I told y'all there was something out here. Holy shit. Shoot that dude. Hit him. Hit that mother. Dude, I think he missed it.
Thinking this is their chance to capture a Bigfoot or whatever this creature was, one of the men cocks back the firearm and fires 2 shots directly at the creature. The creature runs away, startled by the shots. However, it appears the man missed it entirely. as it gallops uninjured back into the woods from whence it came. The men who took the video believed the unknown presence to be a Bigfoot. But other online viewers suggest other cryptid creatures such as bush crawlers and even ghostly spirits. But what makes the evidence so compelling is that the man actually shot at it. If it was a hoax and it was a person in a costume, the man wouldn't have shot his gun at it, considering he could have taken the life of a person. So they must have been pretty confident this was something non-human. What do you guys think about this one? Was it a real Bigfoot? Let me know in the comments down below. On July 5th, 2024, some very weird trail cam footage would surface. And the reason the footage is so believable and compelling is it comes straight from the Larsen Bay, Alaska FFA weather cameras. The strange phenomenon was captured 2 separate times, once in March of 2024 and once in June of 2024. Here are the videos. Some sort of mysterious planet-like object is seen orbiting through the shot. Obviously, from Earth, we cannot see planets nearly that good. They just appear to us as really bright stars in the night sky. So how could this even be possible? The object is obviously huge, and looking at the still shots captured from the video, it really does resemble a planet. It even seems to have craters and a line down the middle which could be a ring or something. It's just extremely bizarre and nobody has ever seen anything like it. And as I said, because the footage comes from the highly trusted FFA weather cameras, there's not really any way it could be faked. This may show us that life beyond Earth does indeed exist. Heck, maybe this is even a giant UFO spacecraft or something. I don't know, your guess is as good as mine. Taking a look at some convincing evidence taken by a lone hiker. The man was out alone enjoying a nice long hike through the local forest. Throughout his hike, he would take various photos of landscapes, really taking in the beauty of the nature surrounding. However, when he got home later that night, he was looking back through the pictures, and one of them really stood out to him, but not for a good reason. An anomaly was captured. He was thinking he was just taking a picture of the trees and brush, but it turns out an unknown cryptid creature may have been hiding within the shot. Behind the large rock sticking up seems to be a black hairy creature. It's covered in fur, it has broad shoulders and a dome-shaped head. Because of this, many speculate it's Bigfoot himself. Now the hiker was definitely freaked out and he didn't know what to do, so he decided to upload his capture to the internet. And what everyone said freaked him out even more. And the photo was just highlighted on July 6th, so only a few days ago, but this really is some crazy evidence that may prove the existence of Bigfoot. This deeply disturbing footage from long ago was just released. Even though it was reportedly taken on December 6, 1992, the footage is brand new to us. A man was out skiing through a remote forested area. He brought his video camera along with him. Here is his shocking footage.
It's currently December 6th, and I see some big trees. Holy, you can see his eyes.
He zooms in, and a good distance away behind the trees is a massive, unidentified creature. Its head peeks up from atop the pine tree, revealing a pair of piercing, glowing eyes. The man is surprised and very frightened by the creature, and can't believe he's capturing it on camera. This is when it lets out a guttural roar, shaking the skier to the core. The The man knew he was in potential danger, so he quickly packed up his stuff and left, leaving the beast be. Because the beastly being is towering over the pine trees, we can tell it's freakishly huge, a type of huge we've never seen before. Commenters were quick to call this a Yeti or Bigfoot sighting, but what do you guys think it is? This more recent trail cam clip shows close-up footage of what is said to be a Yeti or Bigfoot. The trail camera was set up in the woods in the middle of winter. The camera is aiming down, facing towards a small bowl of food, assumed to be for deer and other wildlife. However, instead of attracting deer, it seemed to attract the elusive Bigfoot. The creature is horrifying looking. It's covered in fur from head to toe, and its face is straight up off-putting. It's very wide and muscular, leading most to believe it's not a person in costume, rather a real unidentified creature. And the way it moves so slowly and fluid is another telltale sign that it's something truly unknown. Even though the location wasn't listed, it's believed the trail cam video comes from the northern US, a region infamous for supposed Bigfoot sightings and encounters. Considering all of this, could this be one of the most convincing yet? Let me know in the comments. On March 29, 2024, reportedly at Skinwalker Ranch located in Utah, one of their trail cameras set up in one of their farm areas captured something completely unexplainable. In the foreground, we see one of their animals grazing and just minding its own business. Then suddenly in the background, a small, pale, extraterrestrial-looking being walks by. Experts estimate the unknown presence to be around 3 feet tall. You can see it just kind of appears and then disappears after walking a short distance. Experts have reportedly analyzed the footage and say they don't think it could be a person, leaving us puzzled. If you don't know already, Skinwalker Ranch is one of the most infamous locations associated with the supernatural. It all started when a family lived on the ranch and eventually sold it 18 months later because they were so spooked by the strange happenings. They saw UFOs and unexplainable otherworldly lights that would fly about the property throughout the night. They also experienced mysterious crop circles. One of the most disturbing phenomena of them all was the constant mutilation of their cattle, but not just any ordinary killing. The cows were killed in a, quote, surgical and bloodless manner, with organs being removed with surgical precision and strange, unexplainable markings all over their bodies. Along with all of this, they reportedly saw portals open up on their property, and strange, unidentified creatures would pour out of these portals and into the woods. And that's just a little bit of the story, there's so much more. But that's why it's one of the most infamous and scary places on the entire planet. So, considering that new footage has supposedly come from there, means the land could likely still be home to these strange beings. And the Skinwalker curse remains prevalent. Taking a look at another clear, mysterious photo, but this one is of a potential Bigfoot or Yeti. A trail camera was set up in the woods here, and this was the last thing the owners expected to capture. A white-haired Sasquatch. It's extremely defined with snow-white hair, and its face is easily seen. It has dark eyes, a nose, and a mouth, and it looks monkey-like. Exactly what Bigfoot is commonly described as. A lot of viewers complain about Bigfoot photos and sightings being too blurry, but this one really isn't at all. It's very clear, and it's very obvious what we are seeing. However, the main concern with this one is if it's a person in a costume or not. But it's very hard to make a costume look this realistic. I've personally never seen a Bigfoot costume even close to this realistic. All of the Sasquatch costumes I've seen are very easy to tell they're costumes. But this being's face here is very defined and structured, not like a mask or something. So what do you guys think? Did this trail camera capture a real-life Yeti? Let me know. This mysterious clip highlighted on May 10th, 2024 is deeply disturbing. A man was hiking through a local forest, walking down a wooded trail, when eventually something caught his attention up ahead. He neared closer and got a look at what it was, and he was completely petrified. Seen is what can only be described as a half-snake, half-man creature. The mysterious short clip doesn't come with much background information, like where it took place and such. But the video is freaky enough. We can see what looks like a hairy humanoid creature moving around slightly, followed by a very long, slender torso that appears to stretch out into a snake-like body. Could this be some dangerous mutated creature that resides in the deep woods? Or is this somehow just an illusion or something? The hiker, along with viewers, have no clue, and they're completely perplexed at what they're looking at. All I know is it's one of the most unsettling things ever caught on camera, and the man who spotted this definitely won't be going back into this forest anytime soon. Right at the start of this year, an inexplicable photo would be released, and instead of an unknown cryptid creature, it may be a capture of a thought-to-be extinct animal from long ago. The photo was taken in a field in a rather rural area. Trees and forests surround for miles, making this a rather secluded place. In some places, only a very small percentage of the forest have been explored. For example, in Guyana in South America, only 2% of the forest has ever been explored. This means that there could be so much more out there, like unknown creatures and predators, and perhaps in this instance, even thought to be extinct dinosaurs. Taking a look at the picture, it looks extremely realistic. If not a dinosaur, what else could it be? No other animal on this earth looks anything close to this. But considering we don't know where exactly this comes from, we can't 100% confirm its authenticity. But as that old saying goes, pictures speak 1,000 words. And this one here is saying realistic, clear, potential photo of a dinosaur. Taking a look at a trail cam photo that is puzzling everyone and even the trail cam owner himself. It was released on August 27th, 2023, but was originally taken on June 16th, 2023. By a man named Buddy Brown. He states, "This came up on my cell cam at my ranch and it's still bothering me and puzzling me. There couldn't have been any flashes from the camera or anything that could have caused this." He also states that he's tried to come up with many rational things that could have caused this, but he simply can't. He has no clue at all, and I'm sure none of us really do either. It looks to me like a beam of bright light is coming down from above and touching the ground. Many commenters speculate that he caught an alien abduction here. A UFO shot down a beam of light in an attempt to abduct someone or something. A lot of people say that supposed UFO abductions and sightings occur way out in the wilderness on remote land. So could this be exactly what was going on here? Now in this video, we've taken a look at scary unknown creatures and other unexplainable phenomena, but what about known scary creatures? And these might be some of the scariest known creatures of them all, Komodo dragons. Watch as these Komodo dragons battle and fight, all captured very up close thanks to Chris Bay photography. They clash, standing up on their hind legs and pushing and wrestling with all their might. They scratch each other with their sharp claws and maneuver around until finally one gives up, getting pinned down by the other one, resulting in a victory for the other dragon. Now, Komodo dragons aren't just scary looking. They're the definition of apex predators. Usually you can't even get close to these animals, so I don't know how Chris Bay and his crew got so close, but the craziest part about these predators is they can smell dead or dying animals up to 5 miles away. They have something called the Jacobson's organ in the back of the roof of their mouth, so when the tongue sticks out, it processes directions and information on potential prey. And these creatures also carry extremely harmful bacteria in their saliva. So when bitten by one, they transfer all kinds of harmful bacteria into the wound, which could easily be deadly. I don't know about you guys, but even though this is a known creature, it's still one of the scariest of the entire video. This very scary forest encounter comes from Big Dill on YouTube. Listen to his explanation of the area, followed by the encounter itself.
Behind this, where I'm pointing right now, there's a forest back there. It's a pretty big forest. It's a state park. But what happens is this creature comes up against this fence, and it jumps this fence. And it was standing, we think, right in this where I'm standing right now. And did you hear that? Oh. Guess I'm out.
He discusses the landscape and also the creature that supposedly inhabits this land. He says the creature comes up to the fence he's standing at and jumps over it. As he's explaining this, a gut-wrenching, high-pitched screech comes from within the forest, followed by strange, otherworldly grunts. The sounds are so disturbing that they will send chills down your spine. We can only assume those noises are coming from this unknown creature he's talking about. But as soon as he hears the noises, he quickly decides to leave, not wanting to have a run-in with whatever this thing was. Considering the noises and their accounts of seeing this creature, he and many others strongly believe there's an unknown presence lurking on this land, a dangerous, uninvited presence. Taking a look at a very close, scary encounter, a group of wildlife photographers and videographers were out trying to capture footage of a specific elephant tribe. Everything was going to plan and the elephants were running by, until suddenly the elephants shifted directions and focused their attentions on the photographers. The photographers run for their lives, sending warning shots to try to scare the elephant away. It seems they made it out of this encounter alive, and so did the elephant. Elephants are some of the biggest land mammals on the planet, and they can run up to 25 miles per hour. So combining that with their massive size, they can be very dangerous, and if you can't outrun them, you'll definitely be trampled to death. On February 3rd, a woman was going on a nice hike with her dogs. She eventually reached an area where the woods was not so dense, so she let her dogs run around and play. But as they were playing, something huge was stalking them beyond the fog.
Stop. There's something. No. Dogs. Woo! What the?
The dark creature suddenly appears from behind a tree. and it just kind of stands there watching them. You can tell the dog walker is completely freaked out and is genuinely concerned for her dogs, not knowing what the creature could be. Because it's so tall and wide and the general shape of it, many thought this was a Bigfoot hiding within the dense fog. A foggy day would be a good opportunity for a big creature that wants to remain hidden to come out to roam. And maybe it wasn't expecting company this deep in the woods. Despite this being the leading theory, the hiker still has not voiced her opinion. All she knows was that it was something huge and most likely dangerous lurking within the fog. On March 3rd, 2023, a strange unidentified craft was seen flying through the night sky. Judging by the CNN building which is spotted in the background, which I figured out is located in Atlanta, Georgia, we can tell this is where the encounter took place. Take a look as a frantic woman records the strange phenomenon from her apartment.
What the f? That is not a airplane. Why the f? The actual f is that? What the f?
She's completely puzzled as what looks like a massive craft with 4 lights flies quickly overhead with 2 dim lights behind. Now some people tried to say these were just a group of helicopters. However, they move as if they're interconnected. There's no change in speed or movement or anything, leading us to believe the lights are all attached to one another on one big craft. But then 12 minutes later, it flies by again.
Not even gonna lie, I'm f***ing shaking. It did not look like airplane, but that was really f***ing close to the ground, and I am not near an airport. Alright, the light is off. I don't know what the f*** this is. I'm kind of freaking out at the moment. Let me see if I can turn. What's going on right now? What? This is the second one.
We get a better look at it this time. The craft travels stably and the lights stay in place. Could this really just be helicopters? Or is it really an otherworldly UFO controlled by aliens? Or perhaps even something else? Definitely a strange video. Let me know your guys' opinions in the comments down below. This strange phenomenon was filmed on June 29th, 2024. A woman was walking outside in a local town in Florida when it began to storm in the distance. But suddenly the thunder began to sound weird and otherworldly. So she pulled out her phone and recorded this video.
The thunder sounds bizarre. What is that? I'm a 7th generation Floridian, and I have never heard thunder like that.
As she stated, she's a 7th generation Floridian, so her and her family have lived there for an extremely long time, and they have never heard anything like that ever. It almost sounds like laser beams shooting in the distance. They're very sci-fi like sounds. She still has yet to come up with an explanation for this. Could it have been something supernatural like aliens? Or is it a natural phenomenon despite the very otherworldly sound? I saw this footage originally on TikTok and knew that I had to bring it up to you guys, and I figured it would be a pretty good topic of conversation. A man named Stephen Curtis set up a trail camera right on the bank of a small pond. He was hoping to capture a certain reptilian predator, and on this day he would get exactly what he was hoping for. Out from the murky waters emerged a pretty good sized snapping turtle. It comes out and just sits there for a second. Then it slowly walks up the bank away from the pond. Definitely an animal that is not caught often on these cameras. It's so crazy to see a snapping turtle this close up. They're pretty creepy looking but also kind of cute at the same time. And my friends and my brother and I grew up loving snapping turtles and snakes and creepy animals like those. And we actually used to capture snapping turtles and snakes with our bare hands, which is definitely a terrible idea because, as you may know, snapping turtles actually have one of the strongest bites in the world, so they easily could have taken one of our fingers off, but we were very careful when handling them. But I definitely don't recommend anyone does that. This video was just released on July 14th, 2024. The caption reads, "Terror on a rural farm deep in the wilderness. The red-eyed aggressive Bigfoot." Here's the video. As you can see, a pair of red glowing eyes peer into the home from outside in the yard. Because it's dark out, we can't get a look at what the creature actually is. But judging by the red eyes, it's nothing of this world. No known animals are known to have red glowing eyes like this. That's why many are speculating this is some sort of cryptid creature. A dangerous predator that lurks in the depths of the wilderness. Even though the caption says Bigfoot, I think otherwise. There's another cryptid creature that is known to have these characteristic red eyes, and that's the Mothman. A supposed evil half-moth, half-man creature. It's said to be extremely big and covered in jet black hair, and it flies around through the night sky with its red piercing eyes wreaking havoc on the land surrounding. The first sightings of the so-called Mothman appeared in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, between November 15th, 1966 and December 15th, 1967. Hundreds of sightings came out during this time period, and that's why many people still believe it exists to this day. This scary paranormal trail cam capture was taken towards the end of 2023. A woman named Rosie has a trail camera and monitors it frequently. She was looking back at the recent photos, and at 7:17 on the evening of October 26, 2023, it initially captured a deer. A pretty ordinary capture. But the camera was triggered again at 7:24 p.m., so only 7 minutes later, and this time it definitely wasn't a deer. What looks like a strange, skinny woman in a dress is caught. Rosie points out that if you look closely, you can even see a skeleton under her dress. Skeletal legs stretched down through her dress to the ground. She also seems to be wearing some sort of hat or beret, with dark straggly hair coming down through. The most convincing part about all of this is that on her YouTube channel, Rosie doesn't post about ghosts or the paranormal or anything like this. She makes auction-type content. This is why people are believing she's not clout chasing and searching for exposure, and that this one is completely authentic. And the real question is, if it is authentic, what the hell is it? Some sort of ghost that roams the land? This extremely terrifying video is freaking the internet out. A man is walking alone through an old, dilapidated church. He walks around and explores it for quite some time until eventually he reaches the sanctuary. He begins to hear some high-pitched noises, and then he sees it.
Hello? Oh my god! What the f is that?
Sitting there within the pews is a woman draped in a white robe. Her face is excessively pale, and something just seems so off about the woman. The man is so deeply unsettled by the unknown presence that he lets out a scream of utter terror. A reaction that would be insanely hard to fake. The real question is, who is this woman and why is she there? Is she a ghost that haunts the remains of the old church? A malevolent spirit that lurks in the spiritual place in the dead of night? Or is this somehow an elaborate hoax? Let me know your guys' opinions in the comments down below. The following quick clip comes from a family who lives in a small neighborhood. It was evening when their security camera was set off that faces towards their front driveway. They looked back at their footage and at first they just thought it was a moth or something. But then they looked closer. Looking closer, this doesn't appear to be a moth. It almost looks like a fairy or something. Taking a look at this enhanced still shot here, it's human-shaped with wings. It has a white pale body with long limbs and no recognizable facial features, followed by wings and strange parts sticking out from the sides of its head. Could this somehow just be a very human-looking moth? Or is this a fairy? Many online viewers are calling this a fairy, and they strongly believe it's the real deal. Others are not so sure and just don't know what to make of the strange footage. Obviously, fairies are just supposed to be fictional creatures, but could they really exist? The following deeply chilling encounter recently surfaced on TikTok. A man was filming himself exploring a local cemetery, and this cemetery has a rich history of being haunted, so he wanted to check it out for himself. And it said that going alone is the best way to attract the paranormal. So that's exactly what he did. However, pretty soon after he got there, he began to notice something was stalking him.
What the f was that? What the f was that? What the f was that? I legit just saw a shadow.
First, the being peers its head around a corner and then mysteriously vanishes. He rushes over to where it was and it's completely gone. Despite this, he continues exploring, trying to figure out what was watching him. Eventually, he makes his way down a long path with some sort of memorial at the end. And a dark shadow can be seen crouching down in front of it.
What the hell is that? What the hell is that? It's moving.
It goes unnoticed until it moves and disappears from view. Now, I don't know about you guys, but if I was out there alone exploring this cemetery and I saw this, I would leave immediately. But anyways, the man still doesn't know what this was, but he believes it was some sort of evil presence that haunts the cemetery. I mean, the way it peeks around the corner looking at him in that first shot, and then the way it moves around and somehow disappears in the last shot, that's what it looks like to me. I don't know though. Let me know what you guys think. This creepy encounter comes from a man who was out in a forest. Supposedly, the man who filmed this sees strange, small creatures throughout this forest all the time, and he does his best to document them. This time, he was out exploring a small cave in an attempt to find more of these strange beings, and eventually he would spot one. As he's in the cave, something lurks by the entrance. A small goblin-looking being waddles by. It looks into the cave and spots the man and then flees. Looking closer, it appears the being was wearing a backpack of some sort. So if this isn't a hoax, this is a very intelligent being, considering it somehow made or found a backpack-like device. It really is some puzzling footage. Do you guys really think this forest is home to small, unidentified creatures, or is it a fake? On February 9th, 2024, a private jet would crash onto a Florida highway. Dashcam video from a nearby driver shows the devastating moment. You can see the plane comes down and tries to stay up as long as it can, but it touches down in the middle of the busy highway. The plane hit a truck and an SUV, but all drivers and passengers in those vehicles would survive. There were 5 people aboard the jet, 2 pilots and 3 passengers. Miraculously, all 3 passengers survived. They're even seen running out of the plane to safety in this video. It was reported that the pilots contacted air traffic control saying that they had lost both engines before they crashed. This occurred specifically on I-75 in Naples. The plane was a Bombardier Challenge 600 jet. Not much context surrounds this video, but what we do know is it's bone-chilling. A man began filming because he was hearing bangs on his bathroom door. What happens next will give you nightmares. Violent bangs ring out from behind the door. As the man gets closer, we can make out a grayish woman's face. But as soon as the man opens the door, the face disappears and the knocks disappear as well, revealing a vacant, empty bathroom. Also, taking a look at these screen grabs from when the man was walking up to the door, we can see the woman's face looks demonic and distorted. The photo's qualities are enhanced. Something seems so off about her. And how the hell can you explain the fact that as soon as the man opened the door, there's just nobody there? Just an overall creepy encounter that may keep you awake at night. On July 5th, 2024, a shocking encounter would come from TikTok user CCC Anglers. Usually they just post fishing content. They were filming their fishing, catching some small bass at a local pond. He felt a bite, set the hook, and reeled in a nice-sized bass. But as he was getting rid of the seaweed surrounding and getting ready to get the hook out of its mouth, something completely unexpected happened.
That's actually not a bad fish, actually. That guy's solid. Yeah, he is. He's probably the biggest one. Oh my god! Holy crap! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
A small snake slithers out of the bass's mouth. The fisherman doesn't see it at first, but when he does, he freaks out. It comes out with its mouth open, ready to fight. It looks like it was getting ready to bite the angler, but luckily it was very small and couldn't really open its mouth wide enough to get a good bite on him. So the man would leave the encounter with no injuries. But let's just say this is definitely a fishing story for the ages. Good thing he had his camera rolling because nobody would have believed this. The following creepy photo comes from a trail camera in West Virginia. At first we can't really tell what's going on in the photo, but as we up the quality and brightness, the scene is terrifying. It appears a Bigfoot creature is holding the body of a dead coyote. When the brightness is enhanced, we can slightly see the outline of the being. It's Bigfoot shaped for sure, with a domed head and a wide stance. And in its hand is supposedly the mutilated corpse of a coyote. Even though the photo is kinda blurry and hard to make out, it's still pretty convincing, and I figured I'd bring it to your guys' attention. Definitely a pretty eerie photo. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Taking a look at a very convincing UFO sighting coming from Big Bear City in California on May 24th, 2024. The man who took this video states, "This was the first night my girlfriend and I were at the Airbnb I rented for Memorial Day weekend. We were outside on the back deck overlooking the mountains and forests behind. And we took notice of a bright white light that seemed to appear out of nowhere. Luckily, we had our phones with us, so I took mine out and started filming this unknown UFO-like object. He also states, "The first thing I thought was it was a rocket or something, and that was my only rational explanation. However, it didn't have a tail and a trail, and it wasn't moving fast like they usually do. So that got rid of that idea." The man went on further and said that as it got closer to them, the light became dimmer and dimmer, and they took notice that it was pyramid-shaped. Then eventually the light fully dimmed until it completely disappeared right before their eyes. They had never seen anything like it before, and neither have we. So was this a UFO from another planet? Perhaps an alien craft flying high above Earth? Or is there somehow a rational explanation? This horrifying encounter was taken on June 29th, 2024. A man is parked in a vacant area at night, and to his surprise, from the darkness emerges a huge predator.
"Yeah, walk away." No, that means a bigger bear's here. Yup. Oh my. That is huge. Oh my god.
It's a bear, and it spots the man and begins running around scared. This is when a second bear comes in, and it's much bigger than the other one. It seems this is the mama bear and that was her baby. The man is bewildered at how absolutely massive this bear is. But shockingly, the bear doesn't seem to mind his presence too much. That or she doesn't really notice him. But this is where the footage cuts off, and I assume the bears eventually just walked away back into the darkness. The man was pretty lucky here though. A lot of times, bears can be very aggressive towards humans, especially around their cubs. They become extremely protective, and you know how big and strong these animals are, so it's definitely not a good combination. But luckily, this guy didn't have to find out, and him and the bears both made it out of this encounter unharmed. On March 30th, 2024, a group of explorers called Area Explore investigated a reportedly very haunted house very late at night. As they usually do when they go exploring these haunted locations, they brought with them some ghost hunting devices, along with a bunch of cameras. As they were all sitting alone together in this room, they were asking questions and waiting for a motion detector device to go off. But what happened next was something they weren't prepared for.
Somebody might be coming up here.
The f was that? Whoa. Bro, what the f was that? I just saw somebody. I swear to God, I just saw a fucking shadow walk by.
You see me?
No, no, no.
It's hard to see, but if you look closely, you can see a dark, shadowy silhouette fly through the adjacent room. Right before this, they had heard footsteps indicating someone or something was coming up the stairs. But absolutely no one was home. So they aimed the camera into the room, and sure enough, something really was there. Then, right after this, their spirit box device that is used to supposedly talk to spirits says, "You see me," making the encounter so much more convincing. All of this combined with their genuine freaked out reactions, this seems like a very authentic clip. a clip that may have caught a real-life ghost. The house they're exploring is infamous for being haunted, with many others having scary encounters with the supernatural, such as seeing shadowy figures, hearing disembodied voices, and encountering poltergeist activity, like items moving around all on their own. It seems the supernatural claims are all too real, and these guys experienced it firsthand. Within the last few months, some very strange videos have been popping up all over social media. The videos are of people who bought food in America, like watermelons, bananas, avocados, and chicken. But what usually is ordinary food seems fake and processed and rubbery. It seems like fake food, and it's scaring a lot of people. It all started a couple weeks ago when Americans began to notice something off about their watermelon that came from supermarkets.
So I cut watermelon for my kids. I got a rubbery watermelon. The texture is so weird. Like, you gotta bend it so far before it will break.
This woman named Kaiva shows her rubbery watermelon she purchased. It bends weirdly and almost looks doughy, and it takes some effort to break it in half. Now take a look at this guy's similar watermelon experience.
Okay, y'all. I threw this watermelon out over a week ago. It smelled really good. Bought it from Walmart. Cut it open, and it was like plastic. Tasting it was absolutely horrible, so I threw it outside. This is a week later. It looks like mud. What's going on?
The weird appearance of the watermelon could possibly be explained by the fact that it sat outside for a week, but the plastic, fake, and bad tasting phenomenon might not be able to be explained. And as I said earlier, this wasn't just happening with watermelon, it began happening with avocados and other food items as well. Take a look at this woman's avocado she purchased from a local supermarket.
There you go.
It's almost doughy and rubbery, just like the watermelon. It almost looks like one of those fake food squishy toys that kids play with. These strange happenings continue on with bananas, blueberries, and even meat.
We got it from the supermarket. When she opens it, breaks it in half, it gets very tough and doesn't really break. And when it pulls, it's like it's glue.
The banana is showing the same signs as the other food items. What the hell is going on with food here in America? I'm no conspiracy theorist, but maybe they're starting to try to create fake, heavily processed foods, maybe even 3D printed foods. Like if you remember that episode of SpongeBob where they started printing Krabby Patties to cut costs and try to make a bunch of money because it was super cost effective. Maybe certain companies are beginning to do this in real life now. It may seem crazy, but there actually are people who already make 3D printed foods. As unappetizing as it may sound, it is a real thing. 3D printed food is made by placing edible resin inside of the 3D printer, instead of its normal printing unedible filament. Here's a video of some guy eating 3D processed meat.
I've got this 3D printed steak that is meaty and fibrous, just like real meat, but 100% vegan. It's got the layers of protein and fat that you would find in meat. I'm not gonna lie, it smells disgusting. That is very, very meaty.
So perhaps big fruit and meat companies thought we wouldn't notice, and they began sneaking in some 3D printed fake food products. I don't know, and it seems like we never will know. Taking a look at some chilling CCTV footage coming from inside a local store. A man named Mario was holding his cat and was shopping around. Everything seemed normal as he walked around the store and looked around. This is when, as he's standing there, his finger bends completely backwards. A completely unnatural movement. His finger almost flies backwards, seemingly pulled by an unseen force. He stands there in intense pain, unable to move his finger back to its normal spot. Slowing the footage down, it looks insanely unnatural. There's no way a human would be able to move their finger like this without the help of an external force. Eventually, Mario's finger would return to normal, but I couldn't imagine the pain he was in. Many online viewers took the stance that something paranormal was responsible, pulling his finger back as some evil act towards him. Either some evil ghostly spirit is haunting Mario or the local store itself, and he was just the unlucky victim. Regardless, it's safe to say the footage is downright disturbing, and I hope Mario is okay. On July 7th, something very mysterious was caught on camera. This video has been going very viral and has been all over social media, so I figured I'd show you guys. A Dodge Challenger got into a very bad car crash and completely bursted into flames, burning everything inside except one thing sitting on the dashboard.
I see this blew up, fireworks and propane, but guess what? It's still living. And this so happened to be July 7th, and today is July 7th. That's crazy.
You can see the entire inside of the car is horribly burnt and in pieces. However, a Bible devotions book open to the day's date was sitting there unburnt on the dash. The edges are charred, but the fire stopped just short of the words, keeping the book completely intact. How could this be? Paper is extremely flammable, so how and why did this not burn like everything else? Some online viewers are believing that this was a sign from God, and the fact that the pages happened to be open for that exact date convinced people even more. So, unlike the other clips in this video about the negative supernatural spirits and the scary and demonic, perhaps this could be one of evidence of the positive supernatural spirits that watch over us and keep us safe on the daily. Continuing on with the theme of scary known creatures, here is some crazy up-close trail cam footage you don't see often. A wolf pack is seen grazing through the snow and walking along the iced-over pond. This is footage of a wolf pack in northern Minnesota, courtesy of the Voyagers Wolf Project. There's something just so cool and almost eerie about seeing these fierce predators up so close. If a human were to come in contact with this pack and the wolves were hungry, the human wouldn't even come close to standing a chance. These animals can run up to almost 40 miles per hour, which is absolutely insane. And they're also insanely strong with very sharp teeth and nails, landing them on today's list of the scariest creatures ever caught on trail cameras. Here is some close-up trail cam footage that practically no one has ever seen, taken by a man named The Best Life on YouTube. The footage is definitely rare, something the man never thought he would capture on his camera. Check it out. Something is slithering down the lens of his camera. It's a snake. What are the odds the snake slithers right over top of the lens itself? It slithers down for about 8 seconds or so. But this isn't even the craziest part of the footage. Only seconds later, a bird flies down and comes right at the camera and the snake. Take a look at this freeze frame. It seems the bird was trying to tell the snake to leave the man's camera alone. But no, seriously, this is some very rare footage. Footage that shows us what crazy things happen in nature when we're not around. This video was just released on June 22nd, 2024, so just the other day, and it hasn't been seen by many at all, only garnering a few thousand views. The exclusive video comes from a trail camera placed in the woods. It was placed to monitor a hunter's feeding area and to watch the wildlife that comes by. But at around 2 in the morning, it captured something that sent chills down the hunter's spine. First, a little girl in a straggly white dress walks quickly into frame and sits down. Then she quickly stands up again and jogs away as something seems to be following her. A white shadowy presence lurks behind, but becomes more defined as it gets closer and closer to the trail camera. The way it crawls around on the ground doesn't seem human. Its face seems to be featureless except its glowing eyes. It has long dark hair and seems to be wearing a white robe. Everything about this encounter is downright unsettling, and the camera owner still has no clue what to make of it. Some are hypothesizing that this was a lost little girl being chased by a demonic presence. A jinn, to be specific. Jinns are malevolent spirits that come from the Muslim culture. They are said to be able to shapeshift and take on many different forms, including humans. Sticking with the topic of crazy things that happen in nature when we're not around, this might be some of the craziest footage ever. Taken by ZeroBlog30 on July 8th, 2024, it starts off with a couple guys on a fishing boat. They had just caught a fish, the water was calm, and the sun was setting in the distance. It was just a peaceful and serene moment. But as the man throws his fish back into the water, one of the most majestic but scary things ever happens. As soon as the fish even remotely touches the water, a bald eagle appears from a tree. It squawks as it flies closer and swoops down. It spots the fish through the water and calculates the perfect attack. It snags the bass with its sharp talons and flies away with a successful meal. The whole scene is just so surreal, and the internet is captivated by the beauty and the awesomeness of nature. The video has been going extremely viral, spreading throughout all of social media, and I'm sure we all can see why. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this clip, and I hope you enjoyed all of today's clips. Alright, I think it's going to be it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did enjoy, go ahead and smash the like buttons, mom. Let's aim for 2,000 likes for another one of these scary trail camera videos. And if you want to get to know me more, you want to see more of my spooky content, you can go ahead and follow me on Instagram, MaxwellFear, or you can go ahead and follow me on TikTok, MaximumFearYT. And be sure to subscribe to the channel because only 14% of you guys who watch my videos are subscribed. And be sure to hit that bell as well so you don't miss when I upload. And also feel free to check out my special Maximum Fear merchandise and coffee mugs. They're in the description down below. And also feel free to check out my special second channel, More Maximum Fear, where I post other content. Alright, I hope your fear was maximized. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.